All right, tonight we're checking into a place that you won't find on any map. A place where the clocks are all wrong, the rain just never stops, and the past, well, the past is like a hungry ghost just waiting for you in the hallway. This is the story of the Blackthornn Inn and the chilling secret of room 317. You know, it all begins with these simple, almost helpful-sounding words from the inn's caretaker. But if you listen closely, you realize it's not a suggestion. It's a statement of fact. It's the gentle closing of a trap. Because once you see the Blackthornn Inn, there really is nowhere else to go. So, our story follows a man named Daniel Carter. He's lost, you see, caught in a storm that's raging both outside his car and inside his own head. And that's when he stumbles upon an inn that feels like it was conjured out of the fog just for him. Okay, so to really get what's about to happen, you have to understand Daniel. He's a travel photographer, someone who loves seeking out forgotten places. But right now, he's not seeking, he's running. His wife, Emily, just died in an accident, and he's just driving, with no destination, trying to outrun his grief. The key thing to remember is he shows up at this inn already vulnerable, already haunted. And you've got to picture this scene here, this oppressive English countryside, just endless rain and a fog so thick it basically swallows the road ahead. His GPS dies, of course, cutting him off from the world. And then, like a ghost, the Blackthornn Inn just appears. This is not a place you find. It's a place that finds you. And waiting for him inside is the caretaker, a man named Mr. Graves. He's described as being unnaturally still, just unnervingly calm, even with the storm raging outside. He doesn't seem surprised to see Daniel at all. In fact, it feels like he's been waiting. And he hands Daniel the key to room 317. The moment Daniel steps into the room, something feels off. The air is heavy. And the first real sign that this isn't just some old rundown hotel is this message scratched right into the bathroom mirror. A desperate warning from whoever was here before, or maybe from the room itself. And then he sees the clock on the wall. It's frozen. But it's not frozen at a random time. It's stopped at 3:17. He's in room 317, and the clock is stuck at 3:17. That is no coincidence. It's the first clue that time in this place, well, it doesn't work the way it's supposed to. So Daniel, he does what most of us would do, right? He tries to ignore the warnings, just get some sleep, and get through the night. But this is the point where that quiet unease of the inn starts to twist into something else. This is where reality itself begins to break apart. That first night is just a whole checklist of terrors. He hears footsteps pacing up and down the hallway, which is supposed to be empty. There's a sharp, loud knock on his door, but when he wrenches it open, there's no one there. But the absolute worst moment is when he glances into the bathroom mirror, and for just a split second, he sees her, his late wife Emily, standing right behind him. He finally collapses from pure exhaustion, just praying for morning to come. But when he wakes up, the horror isn't over. The storm is still howling, the light outside is that same depressing gray. The whole day feels identical. And this cold dread starts to creep in because he realizes the nightmare is just beginning. This is when the true horror of his situation really sinks in. He starts noticing these impossible little details repeating. The very same crow lands on his windowsill. A loud clap of thunder shakes the room at exactly 9:42 p.m. And then he hears them, the same phantom footsteps in the hall, just a few minutes before the clock would read 3:17. He isn't just having a bad stay. He's trapped in a loop. Okay, so now he gets it. He's trapped. Waiting this out is not an option. If he wants to survive, he has to understand the rules of his prison. So he starts exploring the inn, hunting for answers. And what he finds is that the inn itself is like a tomb, filled with dark memories. He makes his way down to the basement and he finds this old dining hall, completely charred and blackened from a fire that must have happened ages ago. And on the walls, there are these old photographs of past guests. And as he's looking at one, his blood just runs cold. Staring back at him from 100 years ago is a man who looks exactly like him. He has to know. Who was that man in the picture? This sends him on a frantic search for the inn's old guest register. He's got to find it. He flips through these old, brittle pages, going back and back and back in time. And then he finds it, the very last entry for room 317. The year is 1912, and the guest's name is Daniel Carter. It's impossible. It makes no sense. But there it is, in black and white. He has been here before. So he storms up to Mr. Graves, shoves the book at him, demands an explanation, and the caretaker, he finally reveals a tiny piece of the puzzle with this one chilling line. The Blackthornn Inn isn't just a place to stay, it's a destination. It's a place for people who are already claimed. And that's when we finally understand what this place really is. It's not a hotel. It's not on Earth. It's limbo. A kind of waiting room for souls who are caught between worlds, trapped by something from their lives that they just can't let go of. And with that realization, the full memory hits him, like a ton of bricks. The car accident. He sees it all clearly now. He wasn't the lone survivor. He died right there, in the crash, right alongside his wife. And the last thing he felt wasn't just pain, but this overwhelming, soul-crushing guilt, because he was the one behind the wheel. So you might think, okay, he knows he's a ghost, now he can finally move on, right? Wrong. He is about to learn the final, most devastating truth of the Blackthornn Inn. The prison he's in, it isn't made of wood and plaster. He makes a desperate run for the front door. He throws it open, he steps out into the raging storm, and finds himself standing right back in the lobby. He's completely and totally trapped. And when he dares to look in the mirror again, the illusion is gone. He doesn't see his face anymore. He sees a ghost, a burnt, hollow-eyed soul, forever marked by his fiery death. Which brings us to the final, central question of this whole story. After all this time, through every repeating night of terror, what was he actually fighting against? Was he trying to escape the inn? Or was he trying to escape the memory of what he did? And then, the apparition of his wife, Emily, appears. But she's not a scary ghost this time. She's just a sad, knowing memory. And she gives him the final, heartbreaking answer. He was never fighting to get out. He was fighting to forget the one truth he couldn't bear. That he was responsible for her death. And there it is, the ultimate twist. The time loop, the repeating day, the storm, that wasn't a punishment from the inn. It was a prison of his own creation. His guilty soul subconsciously built this repeating loop to relive the day before the accident over and over, just so he would never have to face the memory of the day it actually happened. He wasn't the prisoner. He was his own jailer. The second he has this realization, the clock on the wall finally ticks forward to 3:18 a.m. The loop is broken. Mr. Graves just smiles and fades away. And then the front door creaks open. A new, rain-soaked traveler stumbles inside, looking lost and desperate. And Daniel, now the calm, still caretaker of the inn, steps forward and says the very same words that greeted him. "Welcome. You must be tired." The cycle didn't end. It just found a new keeper.